Everyone thinks they're weird, antisocial, hiding something, maybe even a little superior. But the people who scroll through social media every day and never post a single thing, they're not what you think. They're not shy, they're not judging you, and they're definitely not missing out. What they are doing is something most people are too scared to do: living without an audience. And the psychology behind it is more complex and more controversial than anyone wants to admit. We live in a world where your worth is measured in likes, where experiences don't count unless they're posted, where silence is suspicious. So when someone refuses to play the game, when they're present on social media but never perform, it makes everyone uncomfortable. Because their silence asks a question nobody wants to answer. What are the rest of us really doing this for? Reason number one, and this is the one that bothers people the most. They've seen through the performance. Here's what most people don't want to admit. Social media isn't real life. It's theater. Every post is a carefully curated scene. Every photo is edited. Every caption is crafted. You're not sharing your life. You're directing your life story for an audience. And people who never post, they've realized this. They've seen the emperor has no clothes. They've watched friends take 40 photos to get one candid shot. They've seen people leave fun events early because they already got the content. They've noticed how conversations stop being real the moment someone says, "Let me post this." A study from the University of Pennsylvania found that people who reduce social media use report significantly decreased anxiety and FOMO. But here's the catch. The participants weren't deleting their accounts. They were still observing. They just stopped performing. Because once you see social media as performance, you can't unsee it. And once you recognize you're acting for strangers, continuing feels pathetic. This doesn't make them better than you. It makes them different than you. They've chosen a different relationship with reality, one where experiences exist even if nobody witnesses them. Reason number two, they understand something you might not. Privacy isn't about having something to hide. It's about having power. Every time you post, you're giving away information, not just to your friends, to algorithms, to data brokers, to future employers, to anyone who knows how to look. You're creating a permanent, searchable record of your thoughts, your locations, your relationships, your vulnerabilities. People who never post aren't paranoid. They're aware. They know that what you share voluntarily is used to predict your behavior, influence your decisions, and monetize your attention. They know that authentic sharing is actually data extraction dressed up as connection. Here's the controversial part. They've realized that in a world where everyone overshares, mystery is power. Silence is control. Think about it. Who has more power in a negotiation? The person who revealed everything or the person who revealed nothing? Who's more intriguing? The person whose entire life is documented or the person who remains unknown? Privacy researcher Helen Nissenbaum argues that privacy isn't about secrecy. It's about maintaining boundaries in a world designed to eliminate them. People who never post aren't hiding. They're refusing to be turned into content. And yes, this makes people uncomfortable, because when you refuse to share, you're implicitly questioning why they share so much. Your silence becomes a mirror showing their exposure. Reason number three, and this one cuts deep. They refuse to let documentation replace experience. There's a psychological phenomenon called photo-taking impairment effect. When you take photos of an experience, you remember it less accurately than if you just lived it. Your brain outsources memory to your camera. You experience life through a lens instead of through presence. But here's where it gets darker. People who never post have realized something terrifying. When you're constantly thinking, is this postable? You stop asking, is this meaningful? You choose restaurants because they're photogenic, not delicious. You go to events because they'll make good content, not because you want to be there. You craft your life for other people's feeds instead of your own fulfillment. A study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people instructed to take photos at museums remembered fewer details about the art they photographed. They were so focused on capturing the moment that they never actually experienced it. People who never post have rejected this trade. They've decided that a life fully lived is worth more than a life fully documented. And here's the accusation nobody wants to hear. Maybe the reason you need to post everything is because without external validation, you're not sure it mattered at all. The silent observers have made peace with the fact that their experiences are real, even if nobody else sees them. Can you say the same? Reason number four. the uncomfortable truth. They've recognized that social media validation is an addiction, and they refuse to be addicts. Every like triggers dopamine. Every comment provides a hit. Every share confirms your worth. You're not using social media. You're being used by it. You're a lab rat pressing a lever for intermittent rewards. Neuroscientist Dr. Anna Lemke calls this dopamine deficit state. When you need external validation to feel normal, you've outsourced your self-worth to strangers. People who never post have broken this cycle, and that's threatening because their sobriety forces you to confront your addiction. Think about how you feel when a post underperforms. The anxiety, the self-doubt, the compulsion to check again. Now, imagine never feeling that. Imagine your self-worth being internal. That's what people who never post have achieved. They've reclaimed their validation. They don't need you to like their life for it to be likable. They don't need you to witness their happiness for it to be real. And here's the controversial question. If you stopped posting for a month and nobody reached out to you in real life, were they actually your friends? Or were they just your audience? People who never post have answered this question. They know the difference between connection and consumption. Do you? Reason number 5, and this one flips the script. They're not sharing less, they're sharing differently. While you're broadcasting to 500 acquaintances, they're having real conversations with 5 people who actually matter. While you're posting to everyone, they're texting the people who care. A study from Oxford University found that humans can only maintain about 150 meaningful relationships, Dunbar's number. But social media creates the illusion that you can maintain connections with thousands. You can't. You're just broadcasting into the void. People who never post have accepted this limitation. They've chosen depth over breadth, quality over quantity, intimacy over performance. They're not antisocial, they're selectively social. They give their full attention to people who've earned it, instead of fragments of attention to everyone who follows them. And here's what makes people angry about this. Their silence implies that most of your hundreds of friends don't actually matter, that your carefully maintained online presence is just noise, that your audience is illusion. They've decided that 3 people who know you deeply are worth more than 3,000 who know your highlight reel. And they're probably right. Reason number 6, the accusation. They see the cost, you refuse to calculate. The average person spends 2.5 hours per day on social media. That's 912 hours per year. That's 38 full days, over a month of your life, scrolling and posting. But people who never post see something darker. It's not just time you're losing, it's presence, attention, creative energy. Every minute spent crafting a post is a minute not spent creating something real. Every moment spent checking likes is a moment of interrupted flow. Every experience filtered through "will this get engagement" is an experience you didn't fully live. People who never post have done the math. They've realized that their mental energy is finite, and spending it on performance for strangers is a terrible investment. And here's the uncomfortable question they're asking. What have you created lately that wasn't content? What have you experienced that you didn't immediately think about sharing? What part of your life is actually yours? They've reclaimed their time, their attention, and their creative energy. They're using it for something that matters to them, even if you never see it. Especially if you never see it. Because the most valuable things in life aren't the ones that get the most likes. They're the ones you never feel the need to post about at all. So here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. People who never post aren't the weird ones. They're the normal ones. They're living the way humans lived for thousands of years, having experiences without needing to broadcast them, forming relationships without needing to perform them, existing without needing constant validation. You're the anomaly. You're the one who's been convinced that life doesn't count unless it's documented, that experiences aren't real unless they're shared, that your worth is determined by strangers double-tapping a screen. But here's what's happening. More and more people are going silent. They're scrolling, but not posting, watching, but not sharing. They've realized the game is rigged. They've seen that the house always wins, and they've decided to stop playing. This doesn't make them better than you, but it doesn't make them worse either. It makes them different. And that difference is a mirror you might not want to look into. Because if you're honest with yourself, truly honest, you know that half the things you post aren't for you. They're for validation, for proof, for the algorithm, for people you don't even really know. And the people who never post have simply decided that's not enough anymore. They want experiences that exist beyond the screen, relationships that survive without documentation, a self-worth that doesn't require external confirmation. They want to live in the world, not perform for it. So here's your choice. You can dismiss them, call them pretentious, say they're missing out. Tell yourself they're just too scared to be seen. Or you can ask the question their silence forces you to ask. What would your life look like if nobody was watching? What would you do if you couldn't post about it? Who would you be if you didn't need to prove it? The people who never post have answered these questions. They've made their choice. Now you have to make yours. If this made you uncomfortable, good. That means you're thinking. Subscribe for more psychology that challenges how you see yourself. And here's a challenge. Go 1 week without posting. Not because you're better than everyone else, but because you owe it to yourself to see what life feels like when nobody's watching. Will you take it?